Hi, I'm Barry Ostrowski. At RWJ Barnabas Health, we believe that everyone needs to be informed about the important healthcare issues affecting their lives. That's why we're proud to support the important educational programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Investors Bank, NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, Jersey Central Power and Light, RWJ Barnabas Health, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, the New Jersey State Nurses Association, and the Institute for Nurses, advocating, positioning, educating NJ's RNs, and by the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, founded by the Jewish community. Promotional support provided by hipnewjersey.com. Live hard, work hard, play hard. You're from New Jersey, and so are we. And by Jaffe Communications, where business, media, and government converge in New Jersey.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No. People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Steve Adubato here. We're at the Essex County Eagle Rock September 11th Memorial Essex Remembers ceremony, the 15th anniversary of September 11th. What you're about to see is not just part of the ceremony, but a series of interviews that we conducted with some extraordinary people, family members of survivors from September 11th, an actual survivor of that tragic day 15 years ago, elected officials, appointed officials, people who are connected to that day. Right here on my left, as part of this extraordinary monument, this place here at Eagle Rock, 57 names of Essex County residents who lost their lives. Over here, 343 firefighters, dozens of police officers who lost their lives. We remember them today. The fear is that people will forget, but this special, talking to people about what they remember, what this day means to them, and why our country needs to never forget that day and what we need to do moving forward. It's an important program. We ask you to, as you watch, think about the significance of September 11th and what it means to you, what it means to our country, and what it ultimately means to our children and the generations after them. We're here with Jonathan Salido, who has a very special reason for being here today, to remember your brother.
Yes. Well, to remember all those who perished, but my family we lost my brother Matthew. He was 23, worked for Cantor Fitzgerald, worked on the 105th floor of the North Tower. And my family and myself, we come to Essex in particular because we feel that it is one of the more next to the memorial and Ground Zero. It's one of the more tranquil, if not the most tranquil, memorials that I've been to around the area, around the country. It allows us to overlook the city and still see it for the beauty that it is, while remembering that day and those we lost. So it's important for myself and for my family for healing, but I think it's important for the community because we're 15 years out now, and there are a lot of people, a lot of children, a lot of students out there that weren't even alive when this happened. So it can be confusing for them to try to figure out why this particular day, a day that they weren't around for, had such an impact on our country. And it's important for them to remember and to understand that a lot was given up that day because of what happened. A lot was taken from us, but we are rebuilding and we're carrying on, and that's our legacy to them.
Tell us something about Matt.
One thing. Well, he was just probably one of the most genuinely kind-hearted people I know. He was the type of individual, I mean, he worked in the high-paced world of high finance, and was dealing with some powerful people during his office hours, but had no problem on his way home striking conversations with the conductors. And I remember one of the first days going into the city after September 11th. The conductor who was in charge of the train that he took every morning at 5:50 in the morning, he sat down with my father and I and cried for a good 20 minutes saying, you know, your son was special. He came to me, brought me coffee every morning. This was the conductor, and it was just, I think, a small glimpse into the type of person he was, and you know, we just miss him. We miss him a lot.
It's important we do this every year, isn't it?
I think it gets more important every year that we do this for, you know, not only the reason that I touched upon earlier about educating our youth about what happened, but I think in the world that we live in today and a lot of the madness that's going on, you know, in the end, all we have really is each other as family, as friends, as a nation, and you know, it's important for us to remember that we are, despite the turmoils that we're in right now, both political and whatever else you want to talk about, you know, above all, we are Americans, and we're all in this together. I mean, we really are.
We're here with United States Senator Robert Menendez at the 15th anniversary of the 9/11. Of 9/11. This memorial here at Eagle Rock in Essex County is an extraordinary place. You've been here many, many years. You've been to many memorials, many events. What makes this day, this 15th anniversary, particularly special?
Well, a decade and a half after that fateful day, so much has happened. We have seen 2 wars fought. Our lives has changed forever. But what has not changed is our remembrance of those who lost their lives and our commitment to make sure that their lives were not in vain, and to make sure that, as best as we can, that this never, ever happens to us again.
Do you worry about that, Senator, that we potentially could forget or not remember to the degree we need to?
Well, I think and I pray that that's one thing that's seared into our hearts and into our memories. Not only that day, although there is now a post-September 11 generation that's going to be pretty much eligible for their driver's licenses, so they may not have had that experience, but for all of us who did, and for our obligation to teach our children about what happened on that fateful day, I believe we will always remember. I think that is a burning commitment of each and every American. What I am fearful of is the challenges that we face today that have morphed into new challenges. And our challenge is that we have to get it right 100% of the time. The terrorists only have to get lucky once. That's a tough challenge, but it is our obligation to try to meet that challenge.
Finally, Senator, we owe not just those who lost their lives, many in Essex County and obviously several thousand in this area, we owe their surviving family members, don't we?
We do. We can never repay or find a way to comfort them fully. We do the best we can within the measured means that we have. But memorials like today here at Eagle Rock, which became a sacred place because people came to see what happened and then to remember each and every year after that. And for me, it's a combination of an obligation like every American to remember and commemorate, and one step further in my role as a public servant, which is to do everything I can to make sure this doesn't happen again. That's why I committed myself to put the 9/11 recommendations into law as its author. That's why I sat on the select committee that created the Department of Homeland Security. And that's why in my work in the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, I pursue policies that ensure or seek to ensure that the risks that exist to us are mitigated and that we take the fight abroad versus having it here on our soil.
Just one more. This memorial itself in Essex County, pretty extraordinary.
You know, I've been to a lot of September 11th events, unfortunately, over the course of the last 15 years. And each and every one of them is sacred in a sense, because the sites often commemorate New Jerseyans who lost their lives, nearly 700 on that fateful day. But this is a very special place because of the views, because of what happened simultaneously with people coming here to see what happened, and the commitment of the county executive as well as others to make it a memorial that is enshrined and that never allows you, if your conscience or your heart fails at Eagle Rock, it can't, because you cannot forget.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
We are talking to Maria de Rosa, who would rather not be here today, would rather not have any reason to be here at the 9/11 Memorial at Eagle Rock in Essex County. But 15 years ago, to the day, lost her sister, Antoinette.
Yes. Yeah, it's been 15 years, and it still seems like it was just yesterday. And then sometimes it seems like it was a lifetime ago. I miss my sister very much. She was my sister, my friend. My mother is never the same. Her daughter, who was 8, is now 23. And, we try to keep her close to us, but nothing can replace her mom. Obviously, we're not trying to, but, we try to be there for her. Very difficult. I mean, I can still remember that day like it was now. I remember exactly what I was doing, and, like everybody else, I'm sure, remember.
Not like everybody else, because you experienced it differently.
Yes, not like everybody else that didn't lose anybody, but I'm sure that that day is on everybody's mind, and, it's tough. It's really tough.
Tell us something about her personality. What was she like?
My sister always wanted to please everybody. My sister was always about family. Everything was family. We came from a small town in Italy, and she grew up here. She was 6 when we came here.
Right outside of Naples, Avellino.
Right. And, she wanted to provide better life for Megan, and she worked hard, and but it was all about family. Everything was family.
People who say time heals, you say?
Not really. It feels like it was just yesterday. It's the pain is there. I look at my mother and I still see the pain in her face, and it's there.
So there'll be hundreds of people here at this memorial today. Seeing everyone else here today gather at this 15th anniversary, does that mean anything to you, having other people together with you?
Yes. Yes, because I feel that it should never be forgotten, that people, and I'm so happy that this memorial is here, and I hope that it will continue to be, because I really feel that we need to do this so that everybody still remembers, I never want to forget my sister. I never want to, and I never will, but I think we should keep the memory alive.
We will. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD, and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
Deb, let me ask you, you represent the flight attendants who are here. You've spoken here before. You're a big part of this event. You read off some of the names today. Why is it so important that you participate in this ceremony every year?
I just don't want our crew members that were killed that day to be forgotten as well, because they were working in the airplane that we do every day, and sometimes they're forgotten. And I'm thankful to Joe and his team and be able to speak to remember the crew members that were killed also in the line of duty.
Talk about flight attendants and how brave they are and how those who lost their lives were.
Each day we go to work, as well as the pilots. They, we stay and we do what we have to do on the airplane. If there's an emergency on board with a passenger, we're trained for everything at 40,000 feet. And even on the tarmac on the runway, if something goes wrong, we're there. We're there to help. We're there to do what we can for passengers, and if need be, to evacuate an aircraft. And that's what we're trained to do. Every day we go to work. And I also wanted to say today, too, that we go back to work for those crew members that were killed because they would give anything to go back to work as pilots and flight attendants because it's a job that they loved and it's a job that we all love to do.
We're talking to Essex County Sheriff Armando Font, who every year at this Essex County Eagle Rock 9/11 Memorial event, this is the 15th, he speaks on behalf of all law enforcement professionals. Your comments this year were no less powerful. Remind folks what you said who may not have had a chance to hear you, why your colleagues are so brave and important.
I don't know if we set out to be brave or important. We set out to serve the public. And as I indicated before, when you enter the fire academy or the police academy or EMT academy, you're reminded gently that there may come a time during your career where you may have to go into a situation where your life could be in jeopardy. Although unlikely, but it's very true possibility. And that day serves to remind all of us that that's what we do. And we do that at the beginning of the academy to give people an opportunity to step back.
What do they ask?
They remind folks that say, listen, there comes a time when you may have to sacrifice your own life for others. If you have a problem with that, you can just step out now. No ill feelings. No one will snicker. No, that'll be your choice. I have yet to meet the person who chose that option. Everybody knows that it's a possibility, but as shown on that day, when folks run away from danger, we instinctively run into it and try to do the best that we can to save others. As a group, as you know, we lost more folks than any other group.
Hundreds.
343 firefighters alone, 37 police officers from the Port Authority alone, and the many others whose life was in jeopardy from working there. Like we have a couple of our officers who were called to work there, bomb technicians, canine handlers, motorcycle officers who are suffering. And one is on the verge of losing the battle. So it's important that we understand that first responders do this because it's their duty, number one, and it's the life they have chosen to do.
Armando, I know people say it all the time, but just remind people, those first responders were going into a building that there was a very good chance they knew they may not come out of purely to go help other people. Am I oversimplifying it?
No, that's exactly precisely what the mindset had to be. But you can't think about that. That doesn't enter into our thinking. Any first responder that I know of doesn't think about that. There's a situation where folks' lives are in danger, and you instinctively go, that doesn't enter.
Don't think about your own survival.
No. You just instinctively do what you're trained to do and what you're expected to do. And we just do it without any thought. But if you start thinking about it, then you might say, well, I'm not going in there. So you don't have time to do that. You just have time to respond. And every one of those firefighters and police officers and EMTs did that. Exactly that.
What do we owe them?
We owe them gratitude for the rest of our lives and to make sure that, the legacy that they leave behind for the other folks who went to this profession and for the public in general is that this is what we're here to do, to serve our fellow citizens and to make sure that our country remains strong and not be shaken by this kind of an event.
We're talking to Erwin, and he lost his cousin, Michael, a New York City firefighter. Talk to us about him.
Well, Michael was he was the kind of guy, I remember when he was waiting to get on the department, I mean, in New York, it's a long time, and it's a family tradition. And I remember going, and it's all he talked about. I wanted to be a firefighter, I wanted to be a firefighter. And as his wife and his mother said, on 9/11, they expected Michael to be there. I think even if Michael was off that day, he probably would have come to the fire. That's just how dedicated he was to the job. I mean, he had just completed 20 years. He could have retired, but he just loved the job. You know, he was a very athletic, he loved scuba diving, fishing. You know, he's a very sportsman-like person. And from what I remember, he was a gung-ho guy.
A hero.
He was a hero. Well, a hero, yeah. I don't know how many people he might have saved that day. Nobody will ever know. I mean, he was found in a stairwell. Hopefully that, that he did his job before he passed on. I'm sure a lot of them did. One will never know. I mean, all I know is that his whole company got destroyed. He was ladder 11 in New York City, and the whole company got wiped out. I mean, he lost them all.
And what does this 15th anniversary here in Essex County at this memorial mean to you?
Well, it means, what it means to me is it's something that I want to keep going. I mean, like I say, we will never forget. And it seems like over the years, people seem to tend to forget. I mean, there's new kids coming up every day who never know about this. And I think that's what we need to do. It's just like everything else. We have to keep this alive in the memory of these people who lost their lives in this World Trade Center. Not only the firemen, but all the civilians and everything else, We have to remember them and keep remembering them.
Finally, Erwin, what do you believe we owe all those who lost their lives that day?
I guess we owe them our respect and the fact that hopefully this will never happen again. And I hope that our government is vigilant in keeping, our country safe. But these people, we have to keep their memory alive. I mean, that's all we can do. I mean, people are going to pass on. A lot of the survivors, the parents, the husbands, the wives, they've moved on to better life, but still in the back of their minds is that person they lost.
Thank you, Erwin.
Thank you.
We're here talking to Mr. John Henry, who we met after the 9/11, the 15th anniversary 9/11 ceremony here at Eagle Rock in Essex County. And I saw you were taking pictures, and we started a conversation, and you served our country as a veteran.
Yes, the Navy. I was in the Navy on a carrier, USS Forrestal.
And you were telling me a fascinating story about your connection to September 11th, and well, you share it.
I was slated to start in the World Trade Center about a week ago, before the terrible incident. I changed my mind because I didn't want to commute to New York anymore. And it was something that perhaps God had intervened. And this to me is, I'm very strong about my country because my country served me through my whole life. And to strike my country means that you strike me. And I love the people, which makes the country. Without the people, we have no country. And we lost a lot of people. Friends that I knew are gone. And I come up here every year, not to take the pictures, but also just to be close and not to ever forget what happened to us.
Do you worry that we potentially could forget?
Yeah. I think that our strong interest in Twitter and the front page, all the different types of media real quickly, and we don't retain anything. We just, the next day it's up a new story, but we should never forget.
You've seen a lot in your lifetime. You experienced some challenging things, but you talk about your love of this country and what 9/11 means. We're experiencing some challenging times in a lot of ways. What would it take, in your view, for us to be just a little more together and united?
Listen, we don't want to listen to one another. We want to put our side out, and there is no other compromise. And we didn't do that years ago. When people would have a difference, they said, let's go outside. And usually I talk about it rather than to just start a fight. And if you don't like my way, then your way is not right. This is what is today, and that disturbs me greatly.
And so 9/11, or this ceremony here today, hundreds and hundreds of people of all races and religions and creeds came together, and you were part of it. How did that make you feel?
Every year when I come here, I see this is the people that don't forget. This becomes like a orange. It's all in one piece, you know, and you can cut into it, but it's still part of the same orange. And all the people here, whether they are a old vet or a assemblyman, senator, a child, I notice that people bring their children.
Yeah.
And I think this is very important. I think more and more people should bring their children and introduce them or teach them about what happened to us. And this is a way that we can say we won't ever forget.
Most importantly, Mr. Henry, I just want to say thank you for your service to our country, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Investors Bank, NJIT, Jersey Central Power and Light, RWJ Barnabas Health, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, the New Jersey State Nurses Association, and the Institute for Nurses. And by the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
There are still 500,000 uninsured people in New Jersey who are eligible for free or low-cost health insurance. Do you or someone you know need health insurance? Or has your insurance recently changed? Healthcare.gov provides all the information you need to find new coverage. Open enrollment starts November 1st. You may qualify for financial assistance or for New Jersey Family Care. Free local assistance is available to help you understand your options and get enrolled before the deadline so you don't have to pay the penalty.